Hello. Good evening. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you, New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, for inviting me to speak in your event. I also want to recognize my partners present in the audience, the Endowment for Health, Welcoming Manchester, the Granny State Organizing Project, the New Hampshire Coalition for Occupational Safety and Health, and One Greater Nashua. Thank you for all you do to make New Hampshire a more inclusive community. My husband is also in the audience. Thank you, Jim, for putting up with me. My name is Castillo. I was born and raised in Caracas, Venezuela. I now live in Manchester with my family. I learned to love this country by listening to my father speaking with admiration about Americans and their nation. As a child, I remember watching on TV the marches for civil rights, and I was fascinated by the tenacity of the people and by the power that we all have to make changes in society. I so much wanted to be part of that fight, but I was just a little girl. When I graduated from high school, I asked my dad to send me to this country to go to college. The plan was for me to get my education and go back home and eventually run his businesses. That did not happen. Change requires sacrifice, and it can be hurtful sometimes. Leaving my bubble, I got to experience in the flesh what being the other feels like. There were so many stereotypes and misunderstandings about my people that I found myself at the defensive many times. It was really annoying and upsetting for me, but at the same time, I found the resolve to do my part to make things better for everybody. I started volunteering at the Hispanic Center in my college town, and sayonara to my business plans. I never wanted to do anything else again. When I moved to New Hampshire, I first worked for a couple nonprofits that serve immigrants. And right now, I run the Welcoming New Hampshire program, which is a program to foster immigrant integration. Integration is a two-way street. We, the immigrants, must adapt to your culture. We have to learn your language, learn your way of doing things. We have to learn new systems and adapt to them. On the other hand, you, the receiving community, have to adapt to us too, and hopefully learn to accept us. It can be pretty tough sometimes because people feel uncomfortable when they're next to people that are so different or look so different. So it can be put stress on both sides. In many communities, all we hear about immigrants and refugees is negative and full of misinformation. We have been scapegoated and blamed for many of the ills in our society. People have no contact with one another, and this creates mistrust and fear. Welcoming New Hampshire offers the space to establish conversation, and by talking and sharing our stories, we learn to connect to one another based on what we have in common. And we have so much more in common that makes us different. This results in mutual respect and understanding. With the support of the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation and the Endowment for Health, we now have 4 active welcoming communities in the state of New Hampshire. They are located in Nashua, Manchester, Concord, and Laconia. Each, they're targeted to their own needs, and they work with their partners to promote positive immigrant integration in our state. We recognize that creating welcoming communities builds stronger communities for all. The strong waves of negative feeling towards immigrants are not new in our nation. Here in Manchester, for example, we have the groups like the Irish, the Greek, and certainly the Franco-American, and I caught that last wave, and other groups. They have faced the growing pain of feeling rejected and misunderstood. They started at the bottom of the ladder, but today, the descendants of those people are the heads of banks and corporations. They are the ones that sit in our state house and our legislation. They lead successful careers in every area. That's why I want for this new wave of immigrants too. Last November, we held a vigil here in Manchester in response to racist banners that appeared near schools and in public places. Despite the bad weather in November, we were amazed. We had a great turnout. Mayor Gatsas, Bishop Libashi, and other leaders, civic and faith leaders, came, and we sent a strong message that hate has no home here in New Hampshire. The American people are resilient, fair, and compassionate. Our nation's principles of liberty, equality, and justice still shine their light for all of us. As I travel the state talking to different communities about immigration and our issues, it moves me to see how people want to help. They want to do their part. So this renews my faith, and it gives me the hope that in the end, our strong values will prevail. After all, this is the American way. Thank you very much.